A long time ago, in an African village nestled in the heart of the savannah, lived a young boy named Kofi. Kofi's village, Ngoma, was famous for its musical traditions, where the sound of drums echoed every night under the starry sky. However, despite the joy that the music brought, a shadow of sadness hung over the village. A mysterious drought had persisted for years, drying up the fields and killing the animals. One day, while Kofi wandered near the old forbidden forest, he noticed a bright light among the trees. Curious, he ventured into the dense vegetation. In the heart of the forest, he discovered an ancient drum, beautifully carved with patterns of lions, elephants, and birds, all intertwined in an eternal dance. This drum seemed almost alive, vibrating with a mystical energy. When Kofi placed his hands on the instrument, he felt warmth spread through his body. He gently struck the drum, and immediately, the trees quivered as if a magical breath had swept through them. The birds sang louder, and the air seemed to fill with new energy. Excited by his discovery, Kofi brought the drum back to the village. That night, during the gathering around the campfire, he decided to play his new instrument. From the first beat, an enchanting melody filled the air, captivating the villagers. But that wasn't all. The sky, until then dry and relentless, began to fill with dark clouds. Raindrops fell slowly, then faster and faster, until it became a nourishing downpour. The villagers danced in the rain, thanking the spirits for this miracle. Kofi's drum was not ordinary, it was magical. Over the days, Kofi discovered that the drum had other powers. By playing a certain melody, he could call the village animals, soothe conflicts between people, and even heal illnesses. But with power came greed. Some of the villagers, dazzled by the magic, began to consider using the drum for their own purposes. Among those who coveted the drum was Kojo, an ambitious young man jealous of Kofi's gift. Kojo saw in this drum an opportunity to get rich and take power in the village. He began sowing doubt and discord, whispering to some that the drum belonged to the village and not to Kofi alone. One night, taking advantage of the darkness, Kojo sneaked into Kofi's hut and stole the drum. He fled into the forest, thinking he could use the magic to his advantage. But the forest, aware of the betrayal, began to change. The trees seemed to close in around him, the animals watched him with accusing eyes, and ominous shadows flitted between the trunks. Panicking, Kojo tried to play the drum, but the sound that came out was discordant and angry. The spirits of the forest awoke, displeased. The ground began to tremble, and mysterious voices whispered warnings in the wind. In the days that followed, Kojo did not return to the village. Worried, the villagers organized searches, but the forest seemed to push them back. Rumors spread among them, speaking of the anger of the spirits and the curse that befell anyone who dared steal the sacred drum. Meanwhile, Kofi, distraught by the disappearance of the drum, sought advice from the village sage, Old Kruma. After listening to Kofi, Kruma told him the legend of the magical drum. Created by the ancient gods to maintain balance between humans and nature, it could only be used by those with a pure heart. Kruma warned Kofi that the forest would not release Kojo unless the drum was willingly returned and balance restored. Determined to save his friend and recover the drum, Kofi prepared to face the dangers of the forest. Kofi entered the forest with firm resolve. Guided by benevolent spirits, he walked for days, facing strange creatures and natural traps. Each step brought him closer to Kojo, but also to growing dangers. One evening, as he rested near a stream, Kofi was attacked by a giant snake. He fought bravely, and at the critical moment, he invoked the spirits of his ancestors for help. The snake, defeated, transformed into a forest spirit that gave him clues to find Kojo and the drum. Continuing his journey, Kofi finally reached a clearing where he found Kojo, weak and frightened. The drum was there, but surrounded by roots and vines, as if the forest itself were protecting it. Kofi approached Kojo, but instead of anger, he showed compassion. He extended his hand to his friend and spoke of the consequences of his actions. Kojo was ashamed, accepted his mistakes, and understood that the drum had to be returned. Together, they tried to free the drum from the vines. But the forest did not yield easily. Nkrumah had told them that only a voluntary sacrifice could appease the spirits. Kofi decided to sacrifice himself, offering his spirit to the forest to save Kojo and the village. At the moment he spoke these words, the forest reacted. The vines loosened, freeing the drum. The spirits of the forest appeared, grateful for Kofi's courage and purity. But instead of taking his spirit, they blessed the drum and Kofi, allowing him to return to the village with Kojo and the sacred instrument. Back in the village, Kofi and Kojo were welcomed as heroes. The grateful villagers organized a great celebration to honor their return and the restored power of the drum. Kofi played the magical drum, and once again, rain blessed the land, bringing fertility and abundance. Kojo, transformed by his experience, became a fervent advocate for justice and harmony in the village. He worked alongside Kofi to teach others the importance of respecting traditions and nature. The village of Ngoma prospered, and the legend of the magical drum was passed down from generation to generation. Kofi, with his pure heart and unwavering courage, was forever remembered as the hero who restored balance between humans and the spirits of nature.